like a furry torpedo to the jugular. This is Honey Badger Radio, radio with bite.
Hello and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. Tonight's topic is Ask the Badger Anything. As always, I'm here with my panel of wonderful ladies. We've got Allison Tiemann.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Hannah Wallen.
Hello.
Crystal Garcia.
Oh, I don't think Crystal can respond.
Our spider pig is down. Our spider
pig down.
Okay. Allison,
emergency evac.
Allison, tell us a bit about what you do.
Well, I have been a part of the men's rights movement since about 2000, I guess. I've been reading about men's rights since I was 16, and I blog at Gender Attic, and you also can see some pieces of mine at A Voice for Men. And I was part of the original team of the Honey Badger Radio with Hannah and Karen, and currently I'm mostly working on my webcomic Xenospora, so that's me. I'm going to throw this to Hannah. Hannah, you tell us about you.
I mind rape feminists and am currently planning to take over the world. No, I blog sometimes, and I have a YouTube channel that I do some. I've got some videos on there, and then I've done some writing for A Voice for Men and Gender Attic and mensrights.ca.
And your blog, Breaking the Glasses.
And breakingtheglasses.com. And I've got a sort of a Tumblr blog that I mostly just repeat stuff on, so it's a redundant blog on Twitter called Breaking the Glasses also. Or not Twitter, Tumblr, called Breaking the Glasses also. And then when I'm feeling particularly ornery, I tweet offensive images that piss off the feminists, and usually get me accused of being captive of the patriarchy and crap like that.
Feminist offensive rather than regular people offensive.
Yes, definitely feminist offensive. Things like if it's got logic and reason in it, they don't know what to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
And I think Crystal's back. So,
Crystal.
Yeah.
Crystal. Hello,
Crystal. Hello, Crystal. Spy Pig.
Okay, Spy Pig.
I have an issue with the freaking mute button. Okay. I'm writing 100 days on how to treat men right, on the return of femininity, and I also have the page Loving and Celebrating Men, and I'm currently writing the book Loving and Celebrating Men, so that's what I'm up to.
Hey, Rachel, I see that Karen has arrived.
We have our Karen Strong.
Wait, we can't jump the gun here. Oh, wait, Karen, are you there? Karen. Paging Karen. Okay, no, she's not
eating.
there.
Okay.
She's eating. Okay, all right.
So
she'll be back.
I will say something about me, which is really difficult for me to talk about me. But I host the show. Hi. I also run a Tumblr blog, Naughty Nerdist, so it's naughtynerdist.tumblr.com. Check it out if you like nerdy things and the occasional, delving into how feminism fucks up everything. And so I do this, write sometimes, and I blog. Just blog. Okay. So it's kind of like Zoidberg. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, out of the silly place. We've got a lot to do. Do we have our Karen back? Oh, she's just
No. She's still eating. She's eating dude, apparently, which tastes like bacon.
Okay. Well, we can go into the news while we wait for our Karen to appear.
All right, go ahead. Let's do it. Let's do this thing called news.
Oh gosh. We got it's so much shit, you guys. Well, it's not a lot of shit, but it's we'll just get to it. Joss Whedon, Anita Sarkeesian fan?
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. Free-thinking nerds will be sad to know that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. creator Joss Whedon is a massive fan of Anita Sarkeesian. All most of us can say is, say it ain't so, Joss. Whedon tweeted favorable messages about tropes versus women at Anita just this week. Watch the @FemFrequency hashtag tropes versus women vids. Even if you think you get it, the sheer tonnage makes misogyny seem newly appalling. Quote, I watched a bunch of women get sliced up in video games, and now I'm watching it on my Twitter feed. At FemFrequency is just truth-telling deal. Unquote. With the endless stream of delusion, misinformation, and outright lies within Anita Sarkeesian's Tropes vs. Women video, it leaves us wondering whether he was watching the same videos as the rest of us. Discuss.
Okay, all right. First of all, are we? They're saying that there's an unending stream of women being, I guess, turned into hamburger in games. Did he notice the? I guess the other people that are being turned into hamburger in games are beneath his notice? Are they not people? Are they not human? Because,
they don't count.
They're
just men.
Yeah, it's
don't you know, Allison? They don't matter. They're just men. It's normal for them to die and just drop. That's the normal body count. It's just because they're sexy women that Anita cares.
I mean, it's to be pissed off at any aspect of games. This seems to be the most egregiously double standard, because men are just used like cannon fodder, just as a plot point. Their deaths, they just they're used either to show how badass the protagonist is, how dangerous the danger is, or how they're not even considered.
Or even for comic relief.
Yeah. I mean, I saw one movie, which is not a game, but where which one was it? It was the one with the wall of water in the Buddhist temple, and I cannot remember the name because it was so forgettable.
Red Sonja?
No, not Red Sonja. Jeez, that's quite the.
No, not forgettable.
It was like 2012. That's what it's called. 2012.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, and there was this one guy who was so they had to have the subplot where the divorced guy wins his family back, right? Yeah. And the guy that the woman was dating, as far as I could tell, was not that bad of a person. A little crass, but then so are we. And towards the end, he was just thrown into a gear. Literally, he just fell into a gear and was never mentioned again. Just it's like, oh, yeah. Well, let's wrap up this loose end. And
yeah.
This is common that writers will just throw male characters and just kill them. Just oh well, we got to dispose of this useless piece of trash. Just throw them into a gear or put them into a wood chip.
Yeah. Got clear back in the 80s. There was a game I used to play on. I can't remember what it was, an Atari computer or a Commodore 64 computer. That it was called. I think it was actually called Barbarians, and the entire plot of the game was two barbarians sword fighting in front of the throne of some kind of a leader, an emperor, king, or something like that. And if you beheaded your opponent, a goblin would come in, pick up the shirt, of the body, and then on its way out, it would grumble and kick the head of the beheading victim. And this was the comic relief in the game. Is actually what I was thinking of when I said that. It was this was a game we played, I guess I would have been 12, 13 years old, and it wasn't considered, too violent for kids or anything like that, even though it contained blood spurting out of the top of the head and everything in, really, really old-fashioned today graphics, so it was barely recognizable. But it was comedic. That while carting the dead body off of a man off screen, the goblin would grumble about the job and then kick his head, and it would go bouncing across the screen. And you never see anything like that with female characters in video games.
No, you don't. And the interesting thing about all this is it's really just hysteria. There's no proof at all whatsoever that this is contributing to rape or violence against women. This stuff only exists within the minds of feminists. There's no proof at all. None. There's no proof that rape went up since people have been playing video games. The opposite is true. Like rape has consistently been dropping since the 80s.
Which I think is partly because we have had better forensic science. We've had improvements in forensics. It's not that rape is dropping; it's that we're starting to be able to sort out the false accusations.
Yep.
And accusations may be dropping because women are aware of the fact that if they lie about something that can be, figured out, well, this is not the guy's DNA. They're going to get caught. So there's fewer women willing to make false accusations now than there would have been then as well.
Well, that's a possible reason, although we'd have to look at across the board, and I think that all violent crime has been dropping across the board too.
That's definitely another reason.
Yeah, so I mean, we'd have to actually legitimately make that conjecture. We'd have to look at how much violent crime has dropped and how much rape has dropped. Or rape accusations have dropped. But and the difference between the rate of accusations prior to forensic science and then after. Yeah. But it's a more complicated issue than that. But
absolutely.
But you're right. There is no evidence, and the reality is that it's so ridiculously lopsided, the way that we treat men in fiction versus females in fiction versus female characters in fiction, male characters in fiction versus female characters in fiction. It's just absurd. If we were treating female characters in fiction with the same disregard as we treat male characters, it would, I think her head would explode, and that would be equality.
Yeah. It's just really, really ridiculous across the board. And one thing that we do need to mention, and I know a whole bunch of people are waiting for us to mention. I mean, or we could just leave it to the questions because there are questions about this. Do you want me to wait until the questions, or?
Yeah, let's wait till the questions because we also comment on the fact that Joss is supporting this person.
Oh God,
Anita!
Why?
It's like,
why? Why would you do this, Joss? I mean, I know why, but were you watching the same video, Joss? Come on. Come on.
Yeah, it looks like
you're smarter
Karen,
than this.
It looks like Karen is done eating dude, so let's pull her in. Karen.
Yeah. Karen, tell us about yourself.
Oh, God. Do I have to talk about myself?
No, we already know about you.
Well, you're the only one of us who has a T-shirt with their face on it, so...
Oh, you have to bring that up. My boyfriend actually was mad that I didn't bring one of those home.
For him to wear?
Like, I would totally wear it every time we left the house. I would have one for every day, just so people would stare at us. So, and I was just like, that's just a little too weird for me.
Maybe I'll mail him one.
Sorry?
He'll wear it.
Maybe I'll mail him. Maybe I'll mail your boyfriend one of those T-shirts.
Yeah, and then he can wear it as pajamas. So then you just have to look at it.
And I'll just ask him that he can repay me by sending me pictures of your face every time.
Oh God! Please don't. Anyhow, yeah, no, I run the YouTube channel Girl Writes What. I don't know if you listeners have heard of me. I'm pretty obscure. Tend to really stay in the background an awful lot. Yeah, and also I'm kind of a bullshit artist. But as far as, at least right now, as far as Joss Whedon being a fan of Anita Sarkeesian, I just, I have to think that he really hasn't watched those videos, or he hasn't watched them with a critical eye. That he's getting his information secondhand. Because if that's not the case, he's either too stupid to live, let alone be a very talented creator, and a very talented creator of female characters that get the shit beat out of them on a regular basis. Thank you very much. Right? So he's essentially criticizing himself, and I think if Anita had not hasn't done a critical of Buffy the Vampire Slayer or whatever, right? A critical video or something like that, I would expect that would be on her list to pick apart and call him a misogynist.
Actually, she's a massive fan of all of his work. She sits there and elevates it continuously. She did so in her master's thesis, which you can find if you look around still. Which is it was something like it was like, I'll make a man out of you, women, and whatever. You'll fucking find it. But basically, she sits there and elevates his shit. Like she practically worships the ground he fucking walks on.
Oh, okay.
Maybe there's a little back scratching going on there. She's promoted him, he'll promote her.
A mutual appreciation society thing happens. But either he hasn't watched the videos, or he has not really watched them with a critical eye, or he's doing what's politically expedient, or they're buddies. You never know.
It'd be interesting to see how she would respond if he felt compelled to change his style to suit the criticisms that she's made of other media.
Oh yeah, no tank tops for any of his female characters anymore, and no nothing sexually suggestive, and absolutely no hitting them. But you can't make it appear. You have to make sure that that's in line with the plot, and that you're not treating them differently just because they're women, and all of these backflips that you would have to do in order to actually appease her, regarding her every single criticism. Oh, and they have to be fully integrated into the plot, characters very important and powerful, but never experience any violence, and they both have to never be rescued by a man, and also never rescue a man, because that's tokenism. And the whole thing is just completely fucking. It's a disappointment. It is. I was disappointed in his speech last year on getting rid of the word feminism. Right? I don't know if you all remember that. He took a hell of a beating from feminists over that. And I was disappointed in that, just to see where he was coming from with that. And now I'm just Cabin in the Woods was really good, but I'm sort of regretting seeing it in the theater and putting money in his pocket.
Yeah, this is unfortunate. The thing is that with my approach to Joss Whedon is I've liked some of his stuff, but I also see that there's sort of a sloppiness to his storytelling that I don't like, that I can't really put my finger on. There's a certain self-indulgence in it, and I really, really, really like Firefly, but I think that at least the seasons that I watched of Farscape were better, and so it's not a big deal for me to never buy anything by him again, and I think that's what I'm going to do, is just not buy stuff by him. I get sort of tipped over into, okay, this is the crap pile, and not send any money his way, and just leave it at that, 'cause it's not worth it to me. And I know I'm going to get it from Joss Whedon fans, but yeah, he was in my marginally entertaining situation, and I really like Firefly, but other than that, I don't even like Buffy.
I liked Buffy.
I'm not going to be able to claim to boycott anything, because you can't really boycott if you're not buying. I don't go out and buy stuff.
I haven't bought any of his stuff. I've never bought any of his stuff, but I did like Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. I still think it's...
That was cool.
I still think it's one of the best musicals I've ever seen.
Yeah, but it was also very superficial, because there was no, there's not much depth to the villainous character, bully character, and one of the things that I've started to do when I judge works of fiction is to look at the relationships between the men. Are there any supportive relationships between men in the fiction? If there isn't, it's it's almost like a reverse Bechdel test. Maybe I'm getting too political, but
there was an angel, though. There absolutely was an angel.
Mm-hmm. An angel that. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. That's just my own opinion.
The spin-off series with David Boreanaz, and he's, a vampire with a heart of gold.
See, that's part of the reason I can't really claim to boycott anything. I think the last time I actually watched anything regularly on TV was the early seasons of Charmed.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I watched the X-Files, and I liked the X-Files, and then I watched the early seasons of Charmed, and then I got busy and quit watching TV. For the most part, I haven't really.
I regret watching
I'm
all
behind.
of Charmed. All of Charmed, I regret watching. Now got to the end,
Okay.
and I'm like,
Nerd fight alert. All right.
I liked the early seasons. I did like the early seasons.
I agree. The
They were
early
funny.
seasons were pretty good. Yeah, they were pretty good, but then it jumped the shark, and it just kept going.
There's a great reference right there, because that's why I don't watch TV. I grew up with Happy Days, and it can't be replaced. You just can't. You can't take a Happy Days kid and let's watch this other. No, it just doesn't. No.
Can I just point something out? I have looked at Anita's wall of hate, and 95% of it is just criticism. Like, your video is tepid, your conclusions are poorly sourced, that kind of criticism. And
your mother was a hamster.
Yeah, maybe 1% of it, 1% of the criticism was slightly pointed, like, and you're also a cunt. But it's like this is really mild, and if she's building a case of victimry from this, it's
pretty.
I don't know. Yeah, somebody needs to say no. Just no.
Yeah,
Anita
actually,
Sarkeesian is a wuss.
Yeah.
The newer situation we will cover in the questions, because you wanted to cover the questions. Well, okay.
Okay, let's move on to the next topic.
Next news story. Yeah. Okay. I'm excited. This is a great show. Date rape preventing nail polish. Oh yes, this is going to be a good story. For undergraduate.
Already.
Yeah. Well, I like just the headline. For undergraduate students at North Carolina University are attempting to develop anti-date rape nail polish. The idea is that the nail polish will change color when it comes in contact with date rape drugs. A girl would need only to stir the drink with her finger to make certain that her date was trustworthy. Quote, through this nail polish and similar technologies, we hope to make potential perpetrators afraid to spike a woman's drink, because there's now a risk that he can get caught. Unquote. And then another quote. In effect, we want to shift the fear from the victims to the perpetrators. We are Undercover Colors, and we are the first fashion company empowering women to prevent sexual assault. Unquote. Many women are thrilled at the idea, making comments like, I cannot wait until this is available. I will gladly buy cases to give out to my students. And not just important and life-saving, but also secret spy weapon level cool. However, many feminists like Karen Pickering of the Melbourne Slutwalk are less than enthused. Quote, no amount of preparation or technology will prevent us from the fact that the overwhelming majority of sexual assault is committed by men known and trusted by victims, unquote. Many feminists are opposed to the idea, feeling that it will only fuel victim blaming, and that they instead need to focus on stopping rape culture. But then, every time a woman tries to empower herself to not be a victim of rape, they face a feminist backlash. One has to wonder when feminists will start actually doing something aside from shutting down creative solutions to the problem of sexual assault. How can we empower women when feminism is dead set on weakening them? Discuss.
Okay, Allison's not back. I gotta say it. There's two things I gotta say about this, and the first one is I have read over and over again online, but I cannot remember the actual source. There have been studies done on attendance at hospitals where women have gone in thinking that they have been drugged with date rape drugs, and it's an extremely small percentage that have actually been drugged, and the vast majority of the time, women think they've been date rape drugged. They just drank too much. It has nothing to do with drugs. And spiking your drink is a very, very rare thing. It's not that it never happens, but the hysteria over it is entirely unmerited. On the other hand, it's a great thing that they're giving women the ability to detect whether or not their drink has been spiked for more than one reason. One of those being women are going to have to start admitting that, hey, I just drank too much. My drink wasn't spiked. I feel this way because I drank too much. I can't handle my liquor. Or maybe I can't drink like a man because I don't have the same body mass. So personally, I'm all for this. And the idea that feminists have that this is, some sort of rape apology is just flat out ridiculous. I think what they really don't like is the ability of women to simply make that accusation because they want to and say that it's not provable that they're incorrect.
I think
Go on, Allison.
you know what? I think it's just this I think these people are allergic to women's agency, period.
I agree. Absolutely.
They
certainly don't like it.
They just cannot imagine that a woman can in any way affect the outcome of her life, because that threatens the entire victim narrative. And they say, well, what if people blame women for not having
not using the nail polish?
Yeah, what if? Well, you know what? I don't think anybody's really going to do that. First of all, and second of all, having this out on the market actually, and this is the other thing. I've talked to feminists, and I've eventually got them into a situation where I ask them, do you care about preventing a rape more than you care about preventing so-called victim blaming? And then I said, well, obviously there is something worse than rape, and in your mind, that's victim blaming. Because it was a situation where they were suggesting that there is a group of men who don't know that they're raping. And I said, well, why don't you tell women to tell men if they're being raped? I can imagine that would end a sexual encounter if the guy doesn't want to rape. A woman comes out with, you're raping me in the middle of something hot and heavy. And if there is a population of men who aren't interested in, who are actually raping accidentally, that would stop it. And the person came back with, but that would be victim blaming. So the one thing that could stop a so-called accidental rape, which is the woman saying, you're raping me, stop. The one thing that would stop that and prevent the rape from happening, you can't advocate for, because obviously victim blaming is worse than rape. It doesn't matter. And that's the only action that could stop it. If it's an accidental rape, is to inform the guy that he's doing it. But you can't do that, because that would apparently be victim blaming. Any kind of recognition of women's agency is victim blaming. Any kind. Even the most basic.
Totally.
I'm gonna break in here real quick. One of the guys in chat, Rifer, I can't see my screen real well here, put up the study was by Dr. Adam Burgess, exploring belief about drug-facilitated sexual assault from the British Academy. And that was it.
Excellent. Well, honestly, I think actually, once you actually acknowledge that women have, the ability to affect the outcomes that they experience, right? Then you have let go of all the power that you have to parade them around as victims. I mean, it just daring to say, and I've had people tell me, those are straw feminists who say that, or they're not real feminists. You're setting up a straw man. No feminist ever says that. Tons of feminists have said, it's women have to be afraid, right? That's what Yes All Women was all about. Women have to be afraid walking at night. Why the fuck do you have to be afraid walking at night as a woman, right? You are 4 times as likely, if not more, to be raped by somebody that you trust in the privacy of his apartment or yours or at a house party than you are walking down the street alone at night, right? And, and men are way more likely to be assaulted walking down the street. So, who is telling you that you have to be afraid, that this is a uniquely female experience, and it's a uniquely female requirement that you have to be afraid as a woman to walk down the street, or you have to feel like you have to hold your keys like that, or you have to feel like, be afraid unless you have somebody walk you to your car, or whatever. Like, it's complete and total bullshit, right? Your own statistics tell you that it's bullshit as far as stranger rape goes and acquaintance rape, right? So, who's telling you that you have... The only people that I know who tell women that they have to be afraid, rather than maybe have to take precautions or be aware of their surroundings, but have to live in fear of that, are other feminists.
Yeah, and they cultivate it too. Like any hint of women taking responsibility. Oh no, that's victim blaming. They cultivate this learned helplessness. Another name for victim blaming could be, let's cultivate learned helplessness in women. But Crystal, Spy Pig. Spy Pig.
See, nobody fucking gets the joke.
Spy Pig. Spy Pig.
Must explain that now.
I will explain it another time. But I think, first of all, they're talking about this nail polish where they're saying, and it's a nail polish. So I'm wondering if they're thinking that it's a nail polish that can be clear too, so that men can wear it too. Not every man is into colorful nail polish. But if it's something that's actually going to help people detect, I don't know how, but detect this drug, men experience this too. So, I mean, again, if it's just being catered to women, that's a really big problem. I mean, to say that, only women experience this, because it's. I mean, I really don't know the statistics on who experiences what, but I know that men do too.
Drug-assisted rape is generally, from what I've read, men are more likely to experience it for obvious reasons. Because if they're going to be raped by a woman, the woman wants to incapacitate them. This would actually, and like you were saying, if it isn't like a clear form that men could wear, this would probably be something good for men to have as well, and even not just to prevent rape, but also to prevent someone stealing their wallet,
right?
Or stealing a kidney. You never know.
You know what?
Yeah, no.
They ought to just start wearing regular colors.
Right.
Regular colors?
But yeah, otherwise,
only the emo men will be protected.
More women should be afraid of men.
Protect our emo men.
No, college guys ought to start painting their nails in their school colors with this paint. Why not?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Right.
But really what I wanted to say was, this is just really ridiculous, because the feminists have been opposing anytime somebody says, oh guys, listen, we have a creative solution to help combat sexual assault, something we've been battling since the fucking dawn of time, since humans have found, oh my gosh, maybe it's wrong to fuck somebody that doesn't want to be fucked. Ever since that happened, they've just, oh god. Okay, let me backtrack. Miss Nebraska, I think she's Miss USA now. She suggested, of course, way back, maybe not way back, but anyway, she suggested, like, maybe women should, learn, martial arts or things like that, self-defense, to help themselves, have a fighting chance against an assailant. And she got a whole bunch of hate. And I think the Rapex, the anti-rape undies, they got backlash as well. And now this gets backlash. Something that would be very, very, it doesn't involve a lot. You just paint your nails. And then you can tell, if the dude that's being nice to you is being nice to you for the right reasons. But then again, here's the thing, though. He could just, not drug you and then take you home and still assault you ananyway. So I don't know.
Well, it creates it's a mire of ridiculousness. Anyway,
what's so funny?
Well, no, okay, all right. Well, Nefanor said that a woman could be drugging a man to rape him or to steal his wallet. I love how we're just bringing out the beautiful and spiritual and wonderful side, or even secular humanist side of humanity in these podcasts. I mean, we're just so freaking positive, But a woman could rape a man. Yeah. She could steal his wallet, stuff. Or she could steal his sperm. Yeah.
Remember that woman who stored sperm like a chipmunk in her cheeks, and then she and then she impregnated herself with the sperm she swallowed from a blowjob. So
the mental image I get from that has her doubled over like.
Well, you know what the mental image I get?
Sure, that's probably not what she did, but
I get the mental image of somebody. Yeah, I get
hamster cheeks. Gives me meaning to the word hamster, right? Hamstering.
I get the image of. I get the mental image of her, having it in one cheek, and then she's got the turkey baster, and then she just squeezes that to get it out of her mouth, and then
oh god!
Anyway. Time to go down below.
I didn't even know this was. It's scary. I don't know.
It has happened.
It has happened, yes.
It has happened, I know. That's terrifying.
But, in my terrifying imagination.
Laws being what they are, a man's sperm is strict liability. It doesn't matter how it ends up in the vagina, if it's theft, rape, or misappropriation, I guess you would call it, if she has a job and then spit. Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's on the hook. I mean, that is a complete and utter absence of reproductive rights. Which is why the feminists, or when feminists say, try to compare women's ample and generous reproductive rights to men's complete lack, they have to invent shit. Comparing birth control, access to birth control to surgery to permanently sterilize yourself.
Oh, there was this one politician in the U.S. who was basically saying, defending abortion rights by saying that if you want to deny women abortions, we should ban male masturbation because it's the same thing.
What?
So they can't tell the difference between an incomplete,
between a zygote and
an actual full-fledged organism.
Yeah, and a gamete and a zygote. They don't know the difference.
This is the problem with with feminism. They can't tell the difference between your fingernails, which have just your own DNA, and your baby, which has your DNA contributing to the baby, and your partner's DNA contributing to the baby to make the DNA the baby's own DNA. So it is a separate organism.
Yeah. It's just it's ridiculous, these parallels that they draw that don't make any fucking sense whatsoever.
And it's regardless of whether, because I know not all of us in here agree on the whole abortion issue, but regardless of whether we agree or disagree on the abortion issue, the one thing we can agree with is there literally is no male equivalent. None. Zip. There is nothing a man can do, even if men get financial abortion. It is not an equivalent of medical abortion.
Right.
Yeah, no, but the thing is that's what they have to do. They have to stretch because men don't have reproductive rights. And it's so funny whenever they say, if men gave or got pregnant, there would be an abortion clinic on every corner. Well, no, actually, considering the track record of our society with men's bodily integrity, I think that we would probably actually what would have happened is our government would gang press or draft men to give birth whenever there was a population shortage.
Yep.
They wouldn't care. I mean, they would not. I mean, if they're willing to throw young men into wood chippers to throw them into an industrial war in which it's just they're turning their bodies there's gas that turns their freaking bodies inside out, or they're just being shredded to pieces. Do you think they're going to care about forcing them into pregnancy? Men? I'm talking about men, not women. It would have been Handmaid's Tale many, many, many centuries ago. But I think we should probably move on to the questions or we won't get to them.
Oh yeah, the questions. I love the questions.
I love
So many.
how somebody's saying that they can hear Karen slouching.
Yeah.
I can too. She
All I
is such a
fucking
slouch.
want. Thank you
You're
very much.
so slouching.
We're gonna
You slouch
answer
way too loud.
Yeah. Be quiet
We're
with your
gonna-
slouching, woman.
All
We're
right.
gonna answer Nephinor's questions first. Nephinor, he says, "Do you think we'll ever get?" Oh wait, no. I think I messed up. I messed up that one. Can I has cheeseburger? P.S.
No,
Wait,
you
wait,
can't.
You can never have cheeseburger.
Wait.
No,
P.S.
no.
P.S. Which probe do you all prefer?
Okay, wait.
Mine is
If you got a
called the
probe, no
Tantus
cheeseburger for you.
O2 Kush.
Okay.
What? Well, okay. What are my options?
Like Karen's flat. I prefer.
She recognized that.
as
brand.
I responded to this question earlier in chat, I prefer an anus-shaped anal probe.
Oh no, not for me. It's got to be the mental probe.
Yes.
The mental probe. Oh yeah,
Tentacles.
tentacles.
We have to go deeper.
Must have tentacles.
Stop
I,
slouching,
uh,
Karen.
I think I would avoid anal probes altogether if I could, because I can only imagine the aliens saying, "What the hell has she been doing with this thing?"
Okay. You need to wait till you tidy it up a bit, before you invite visitors in.
So
It's like I just gotta move things around, redecorate, just
Spruce it up.
Bleach it.
Change my house scent. My anal scent. Oh, okay, all right, let's move on.
Okay. All right. How does one get a girlfriend, and how does an unpopular loser/nerd maintain a relationship without being a groveling, pathetic bootlicker?
What?
Well, start by don't be a groveling, pathetic bootlicker. You deserve better than that, and if you do that, you're going to get the kind of relationship where you have to continue to do that for the rest of your relationship.
yeah.
The first thing that you need to do is start seeking out a better quality of partner if you want a relationship.
Well, and you have to be able to enforce personal boundaries too, right? There's really nothing wrong with saying to your partner, I don't speak to you that way, so you will not speak to me that way, right? Often all it takes is just a quiet putting of your foot down, right, to enforce a boundary. So, learn how to do that. Learn how to not settle for being treated like crap. Don't put up with it.
I'm going to sympathize with men in this situation because our society seems to be hell-bent on not affording men the social tools to deal with women's greater sexual power in a relationship. So they sort of end up being dominated. And I know that statistically this is true, that men tend to conform to their female partner's viewpoint in a relationship and feel more anxiety when there is an argument or a difference in point of view. So it's sort of a really tricky question to answer. I think you'd have to become comfortable in your sexuality, and that's really difficult in our society because it's almost a constant barrage of treating men like their sexuality is some sort of foul, toxic substance that women are doing them a favor for processing or something. So, to be honest, I don't know if that question really can be answered. And it seems like a cop-out to say, you have to. At the same time as, you do have to set boundaries and assert yourself. And I also recognize that it's hard to do for men in this society because the society doesn't want you to and teaches you all the wrong things. And go ahead, Rachel.
Yeah, I would suggest, for the relationship part, one of the things that you should do is don't worry about getting into a relationship. What you need to do is you need to get involved in something. usually when someone says, well, I have a hard time meeting new people, things like that, join something. Okay, if you have specific interests or things like that, and there's something in town, join. For the love of God, join. Okay? Just get involved with people, something that you're really going to enjoy. That way, if you don't happen to meet a lady, you're still having a blast. It's a win-win situation. And if there isn't something in your area, go online, okay? Go. There's lots of groups and things like that online where you can talk and meet new people. And the best thing to do is just meet new people, develop relationships with people, friendships, things like that. And, it might happen. You have a greater chance of meeting people through mutual friends, and you're not going, if you're having an issue with there not being a lot of women in your inner circle, you need to expand. You need to cast a wider net by just being more available.
Yeah. I would also, if they want more practical advice, and I don't know where this is going to go with the rest of you, but I think that there's a lot of stuff in game that can help you with social anxiety and trying to be able to talk to women and improve your ability to deal with social situations. And I don't agree with the theory that they put forward to why it works, but I do recognize that empirically it does work. So I would look into some pickup artistry stuff just to get some pointers into how to improve your approach to social relationships. And I will throw it into the crowd for whoever wants to
No. Don't do the pickup artist stuff. Like, people who used to be pickup artists will tell me that, no, it's a bad idea because what you're doing is you're trying to be someone. You're projecting a different person than you actually are. So those people like that person instead.
Right. The whole point is to be authentically yourself, is to just keep, doing what it feels good for you, and connecting with other men, and just, do what feels right for you. And then after that, and as you feel more confident with yourself and what you want, and if it feels authentic for you to create a relationship, then you're going to start pulling in people who can fully honor you and acknowledge you and see you, because you see yourself and you know who you are and who you want to be. And you're not going to settle for anything less than someone who can nourish you, who can nurture you, who can be a partner, not your boss, not someone who tells you what to do, but someone who you work hand in hand with. You go together well, and she listens, you listen, you guys listen to each other, and you find compromise, not her telling you what to do. And if you deserve a partner who absolutely honors you in every way.
Yeah, you need to respect yourself.
Can I respond to that? I'm not saying to go and just uncritically accept everything that pickup artists say, but the reality is that we're not being ourselves when we are experiencing social anxiety. So to go into the community and take the best parts of it, and there are good and legitimate resources, and just with boundaries and just discard the stuff that's toxic. I think that would be...
How would they even know which parts were toxic?
Well, because when you get into a situation where you're starting to think that all women are out to get you.
That's why I think it's really important for men connecting with each other, having that unity with each other, where they feel, instead of the PUA thing, where they feel good and supported with each other, because then that helps them connect and say and work on what feels good for them, what feels like core values that feel really good, nurturing for them. Because I get what you're saying, Allison, but I think the PUAs, what they do is they definitely try and push guys to be, to be something other than what they want to be authentically, because their focus becomes more on finding that woman instead of being who they want to be and then attracting the person into their life.
Okay, so what I would say is the toxic element of pickup artistry is the whole thing of defining yourself in terms of your success with women and in terms of your success with relationships with women. That I think is toxic. But I still think that there is some value in it, and it can be found. So
You know what? It's kind of occurred to me. Several of us are in happy, healthy relationships, and I mean, I would bet you that those of us that are, I'm not the only one that had a start to that relationship that was almost entirely unconventional based on what you get told in well, just about any community that gives all kinds of advice on how to pick up girls. Like I met my husband in our Dungeons and Dragons gaming group. He was in my gaming group. And I mean, we had met before then and I just didn't remember it, but that was when we started to become friends and started to become close and everything. And you know, what about you guys? Those of you that are married or in relationships, how did you meet?
I met my guy on DeviantArt because I started putting myself out there to, you know, make myself more available socially, and we became friends, and that eventually over time became more. And that's why I'm saying, you know, it's not. I'm saying it's better to just make yourself more available, to not worry about entering a relationship and just focus on having healthy relationships with people in general. Because if you're there and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, I'm there to date, you're going to have all that anxiety. But if you're just there kicking back, relaxing, nerding out with people, you're going to be so much... I mean, people are going to have a better chance at finding out who the real you is and whether or not they like you.
Allison, how did you meet? How did you guys meet?
We actually met online on Channel Canada, IRC channel, Internet Relay Chat, for those who've never been on IRC. I had sort of been, I was supposed to go out with my friends, but they bailed on me. And so I was feeling sort of bummed out, and I went on Channel Canada, and I was actually about to leave Channel Canada when someone said, my now husband said, "Is anybody from Calgary?" And I said, "I'm from Calgary." And we didn't actually, the first couple weeks, it wasn't really a situation where we were going to be dating as such. It was just, we were hanging out, and I don't know, he was actually at that time, he was interested in another woman, and so he said, I don't want this to be anything major, like I don't know where I'm at, and I said, okay, that's fine, and I'm in sort of the same boat, and it sort of grew from that, and we have been together for 16 years now, which is really interesting. So that was the beginning of our relationship, was him saying, or us deciding that we didn't really want a relationship.
And see, that's where I am with it, is just, you know, getting together with people and talking to people and having the social skills and everything. I mean, well, I've always been kind of socially awkward. I'm just a dork. I don't know whether you can classify me as a nerd or a geek or what you can classify me as, but I am absolutely a dork with few social skills, if any. And I drive people nuts in person because of it. But and I know it, and most of the time I don't care, which makes it even worse. But, you know, my husband and I, we got together. We didn't get together because we were looking for each other. He was married, and I was in a relationship at the time. And neither one of us had any designs on each other when we first met at all. And then when I did have a crush on him and found out he was married, I gave that idea up immediately, and nothing came out of it until after he was divorced. You know, so this was one of those things where you just sort of build up a friendship and you get to know each other, and it's a naturally occurring thing, and you really can't push something like that. You know, the things in the POA community that are good are where they teach guys to, you know, not be afraid to approach people and not be afraid to talk to people and not be afraid to get turned down and everything. But there's the treatment of their value as if it is, like you said, their value as if it's wrapped up in their success with women. It's definitely something to throw away. And when you go out and look for a relationship as opposed to simply interacting with people and making connections with people with whom you have some sort of common interest, it really undermines your ability to actually form that relationship. And when my husband and I got together, neither one of us was. We didn't do it to get together. We were just hanging out because we were both mutually bummed over the end of the relationships we had been in prior to us getting together with each other.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I would agree with what Hannah is saying. I mean, I wish there was a better option that
I liked my guys.
pickup artists. I wish there was a better option than pickup artists that just they take the mysticism out of social interaction, and a lot of people who have problems with social interaction do so because their emotional landscape doesn't really they can't really. It's almost like your emotional landscape is a puzzle piece and it just doesn't fit. So they rely a lot more on their reason and their logic to try to figure out social situations. And pickup artists, they give sort of a pattern that men who are awkward can apply. And yes, there are toxic aspects to it, but reducing it down to a pattern and saying you can do these things, you can do these things, reducing it down to a logical sequence, I think helps a lot of guys who are awkward, socially awkward, because then they can rely.
Something that you can practice.
Yeah, something that you can practice.
Over and over again, and you can look at it like practice, and you can basically say, well, this girl that I'm going to approach at the bar, this is just a practice run. I know there's like a 99% chance that she's going to reject me, it's not going to go anywhere, but that's cool because it's just practice, right? It's
exactly.
And, not having all of this, this sort of huge emotional mess that's built up around, the potential for rejection, and just looking at it as a task or a job, right?
Or a game, and there's definitely toxic aspects to it. I think that once you're at the point, I don't know if it was Rossi or Roosh, where he was having sex with a woman that made him vomit slightly in his mouth. I think at that, just to have the score, I think it's that point you're on the other side of the moon. You're on the dark side of the moon there.
Well, but, the thing with the oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, the thing with the PUA stuff is it seems more of a Band-Aid. Like, it doesn't really help the guy get to the core of where his social issues are. I mean, there's stuff like studying Landmark Forum and stuff like that where you can get into yourself and you can actually really get to the root and core of things and really just change your life for what you really want it to be. Because if someone has like this really intense stuff coming up, if they end up getting the girl, I mean, I think this stuff can actually come back once say they get the relationship. But if they still have these anxieties, that they still have these things going on that they haven't faced yet, it's not necessarily going to create a healthy relationship.
Oh no, I agree. There's top-down approaches and there are bottom-up approaches, and they both have their place. Sometimes, you fake it till you make it, and this becomes part of your personality, is this casual way of interacting that you would have with people if you weren't afraid of them, right? And sometimes if you can just have a way of just systematizing, because a lot of the guys who are uncomfortable in social relationships are very systematic thinkers. They're very logical, very reasoned thinkers, and social relationships can be incredibly confusing for someone, and I know this personally as somebody who suffers from social anxiety. It can be incredibly confusing for people who suffer from social anxiety, and sometimes it just helps to have a pattern that you can follow. And yeah, it is superficial, but for some people that's what's needed. And I wouldn't never say that's the only thing that's needed. You should also deal with the underlying issues as well. I'm just saying don't reject the top down. And Rachel is on us for going to the next question.
Yeah. Okay. We got a ton of questions. In fact, I said there was a shit ton. So yes. Karen, would you ever get a mohawk?
Nice.
Would you ever get a mohawk?
No.
That was directed at you.
When I was younger, I did try that kind of stuff. My hair won't spike. It just ends up looking silly. And
does your hair slouch, Karen? Your
It
hair
does.
slouches.
and what it ends up doing is it like makes, because I have a long face and I have a narrow head and I have broad shoulders, and it makes my head look taller and narrower, and then I just look like a freak. So no, I would never consider getting a mohawk. Also, I'm 43 years old, for fuck's sake. I'm not even allowed to dye my hair different colors.
Oh,
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
When I get my
stop.
hair all white again, I'm totally or all white. I'm totally getting a freaking mohawk. I'm going storm.
Yeah, when I get old, I'm not
43
going
is
to
too
give
young
it.
to die anyway.
I'm not going to give any. I'm not going to give a shit. Yeah. Oh god, are you kidding? I'm already thinking of dyeing mine. I'm getting white hairs and stuff. Jeez.
I've had gray hair since I was 13, and I am not going to color it because I'm allergic to hair dye.
I'm not gonna color.
Oh,
it.
here, there's another question for Karen. Will Karen put up real videos on her channel again, or is she still busy?
I guess
I'm
probably.
less busy, but still busier than I was last year, or at the early part of last year. So there will be more videos. I'm right now tossing around two different topics, trying to figure out which one I want to do first. And I also have yet another top secret collaboration project with a popular YouTuber, and being that it's top secret, I can't tell you anymore, or I'd have to kill you. But you can expect that coming. I have a whole bunch of lines that I have to recite for that, and should be fun. But
Oh, cool.
but yeah, no, I've been thinking about commenting on the Zoe Quinn thing. I've also been thinking about commenting on Roosh V's video on the big mistake MRAs are making regarding allowing women to be leaders in this movement. I have a fair bit to say, both good and bad, about his video. So there you go. And no. Crystal just posted in the chat window from Coldfire. Where can we read Karen's erotic literature? You can
Yes!
read while sitting on a toboggan hill in hell. Is where you can read it. So yeah, no, I'm not gonna. There have been a couple of people who have been, I guess, had the ingenuity to find my pen name and link it to me, and I suppose that doesn't bother me too much, though they've been very, very nice about respecting my privacy and not disseminating that information around. It's just something that's like from a completely different part of my life, and just sort of a completely different thing that has nothing to do with any of this. So I suppose it could make me a lot more money if I actually came out and gave my pen name out, but I just feel weird about it. So
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, okay. Well, now, since there were so many damn questions about it, we're gonna talk about Zoe Quinn and Anita Sarkeesian. The question is like, the first one is sort of like vaguely saying, it's like, can you mention the girl that did the video game art of girls and was death threatened? I think you're talking about Anita Sarkeesian. So it's like, what are your thoughts on Anita Sarkeesian claiming she received death threats, then shortly after asked for donations? Not to mention the suspiciously new account and the timing of the tweets. Now, what they're talking about is Anita Sarkeesian, and I actually did a Tumblr post about this, which you can check out at naughtynerdist.tumblr.com, and where I took screenshots of this because I saw it in my feed and I was like, what the fuck is this? So what happened is Anita Sarkeesian recently released her second part of, Women as Background Decoration Majig. Anyway, I didn't even fucking watch it. I didn't give a shit at this point. And that's the whole point. Nobody gives a shit about Anita Sarkeesian anymore. Like, her viewership is lower than a good deal, than even like Thunderfoot. Okay? Now, Thunderfoot's, somewhat... he's somewhat known, but he's not, he's not the amazing atheist, and he's not like PewDiePie. But still, he's got like 100,000 on her. Okay, if I recall, I could be wrong. But anyway, her viewership has gone down, all that stuff. And what happened is that she said that she received death threats. Okay, and that she alerted the authorities, and that she was afraid, and that she was going to stay at a friend's house after it. Now, I found the screenshot of these tweets and everything, and if you look, all of those tweets were grammatically correct, put there in a very short amount of time, in a matter of minutes, mind you. And it was an account that was obviously created specifically to do this. So it's really suspicious. And it also, instead of using a screen name or anything like that, it used a proper name. So that was really weird. It comes off as very sloppy. If this is legitimate, which I gotta say, I'm really skeptical about it, considering the fact that there was, like, oh, by the way, you can donate to me right after. If you've forgotten that I still, like, I'm interested in your money after, like, 24 hours after receiving a death threat.
Why would they donate to the police investigating her death threat?
Yeah,
I got death threats. I got death threats. Give me money. Give me money.
No, but you look at the page and there's a lot of things that are wrong with it, because a lot of it was posted, which was a lot, mind you, in a matter of minutes. Okay,
I 3 minutes from start to finish.
How
3
many?
minutes from start to finish. Yeah.
Yeah. And it went from between, oh my gosh, I love you, I really would want to be with you, I want to do things to you, to I'll fucking cut you
to death. And
That's the psycho with a schedule.
And it was like
Gotta
back
catch
and
the
forth,
bus.
back and forth. Yeah, and that was done really very quickly. It was a new account. I mean, anybody can make a sock puppet account. Anybody. Okay, and this was a lazy sock puppet account. A very lazy sock puppet account.
Well, I don't
That's
know.
why it all
I don't know.
happened so fast. They had to
all of
catch
that
the Tweet
proper grammar
329
was-
train back to Sock Puppetville.
Exactly, and immediately it was deleted afterwards. So just long enough for her to get the screenshot.
Well, I just want to know, like, because did she say that she had alerted the authorities?
Yes, she did, but we don't know that there's actually even a police report.
Okay. Now, if she alerted the authorities first, they would have told her to not say anything to anybody, right?
Yeah.
Publicly about it, right? Because it would be an ongoing investigation at that point, and public attention to the threats would make the perpetrator more difficult to find. That's just how it works. You know, if there's a criminal case pending, you're not supposed to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So I have to wonder whether she actually did notify the authorities. There's a lot of conjecture going on that this is yet another Meg Lanker-Simons type of deal where, if there is a police investigation, it may inevitably find that she sent the tweet to herself or had a friend of hers do it. That wouldn't necessarily surprise me. I suppose maybe 3-4 years ago I would be like, yeah, no, you put away your tinfoil hat. But after seeing, Charlie Rogers, the lesbian activist who faked, she was responsible for a hate crime hoax against herself, where she carved herself up, right? Like carved words into her body and symbols into her body, and said that she'd been, 3 men had broken into her house and raped and attacked her or whatever, right? I mean, you just, and then the whole Meg Lanker-Simons thing, she's in law school now, by the way, because that's where all fraudulent scumbags decide they want to go, I guess. Who faked a rape threat against herself on some anonymous Facebook page called University of Wyoming Anonymous Crushes or something like that, right? Where you could post that you had a crush on somebody anonymously. And the police discovered that came from her computer while it was in her possession, that particular threat. And the pictures of her at the big rally to protest rape culture that came from her having received this threat, right? The whole school was up in arms. The university promised to do an investigation. There were protests, there were rallies, there were all kinds of things. And she's behind a microphone at this rally talking about, how women are victimized and how there's this huge rape culture. And then we find out that it was her who sent it to herself, right? I mean, you don't need a tinfoil hat anymore once you see enough of those things. Like another case that I read about on the Community of the Wrongly Accused, or maybe back when it was False Rape Society, of a woman claiming that she was raped while walking across the campus at night at some university, and when it came out as a hoax, she said she did it to spread awareness of the problem of rape on campus. Right? She wanted to increase awareness that this was a problem by
being a crazy, oh my God,
increasing awareness of false accusations.
Yeah.
And so
lovely.
Wow.
It's you can no longer say that this is, that these kinds of speculations are the purview of the tinfoil behatted, right? Because they're not. These kinds of things happen, and when they do, they tend to, when they're politically motivated or whatever, they tend to be the passionate social justice warriors, faking a hate crime, or liberal British Columbia MP Hetty Fry claiming that there were crosses burning on lawns in Prince George when there had not been a single incident, of cross burning ever in that town. Right? I mean, like, you just, it just...
Well, you know what?
They don't call it art at this point. And this is me being art. This is just a piece of art. Me lying, that's really just art. Why are you trying to stifle my artistic ability?
The art card. Well, one of the things that we need to also think about is that think about where we are in all this. Because we're just coming off of the Zoe Quinn stuff, right? And with the gaming media, and a lot of the people who are involved in that scandal also donate to Nia Sarkeesian. Keep in mind, she also lives in San Francisco and all that stuff. And the Sarkeesian Effect documentary that's being done by Jordan Owen 42 and I can't remember what the other guy's name is. I know people.
Jay Arini.
Yeah, I'm gonna get so much shit for that. They're like, yeah, I'm giving you guys a shout out, and they're like, oh, I forgot what your name was. But yeah, and there's a backlash that is coming out against that, and they're trying to do, and because of the supposed death threat that Ania Sarkeesian received, there's a large petition going. Well, not a large; it's not huge. There's a petition going around to try and have a Steam hour blackout to protest sexism against women in video games and stuff like that. So, I mean, when you think about it, it doesn't seem unlikely. The timing is fucking impeccable, isn't it? For somebody who is quickly losing their relevance. I mean, you think about all of the stuff that she said and how many people she's pissed off since the beginning of Tropes versus Women. Because at the beginning, a lot of people were like, oh, cool, she's speaking about sexism and things, cool. And then she pisses off the artists and the sex workers, the sex-positive feminists. She pisses off the gamers and, content creators of all kinds. Anybody with critical thinking skills is pissed, and they just cannot be bothered to care about her anymore. And this is the final. To me, this is the death throes of her career. It's going down. The ship is sinking, and she knows that because she's a one-trick pony who only can damsel it up and then ride that to the bank. That's all she knows how to do.
Well, there's this is very similar in one way to something that occurred between the 90s and the 21st century, and this was predicted by all people of Gilbert Gottfried, and it was predicted in the way he described Madonna's career. Back in the 90s, he was doing an interview with Dr. Demento on the Dr. Demento show. And he was answering various questions and everything, and he ended up on the topic of Madonna. And he said, the way to destroy Madonna's career, because at that time Madonna was just like doing outrageous thing after outrageous thing by the standards of the day, you know, with the conical boob outfit and all that stuff. He basically said, you know, the way to destroy Madonna's career is to make her irrelevant. You know, whatever she comes up with, that you just say, oh, okay, well, whatever, go right ahead, no problem. You know, and she could come up with anything. I'm killing some kittens over here. Oh, okay, well, go carry on, you know, and her career would be over in a second. And it didn't actually end up happening that Madonna became irrelevant publicly in the United States until along came Britney Spears, and Britney Spears was far more outrageous than Madonna. And suddenly everything Madonna did was kind of tame. And then we quit hearing about Madonna, and Britney Spears became the lady of the day. And she was relevant, you know, through her hysterics and everything.
Aguilera.
Yes, and until along comes Christina Aguilera. And then it took more and more outrageousness on the part of Britney Spears to stay in the limelight. And then along comes, you know, Lady Gaga, and bye-bye Britney. Well, here's the same thing is going on with Anita Sarkeesian and the Zoe Quinn, and you know, it's just each time another hysterical chick comes along and whines about guys and their spaces and how they interact with each other and everything.
Biatch.
You know, each one's going to have to jack her high horse up just a little bit higher and lower her damsel hurdle just a little bit lower before she can out damsel and out high horse the chick before her, because otherwise she's not going to be relevant. And that's what's going on here. You know, Sarkeesian's going to run out of the power to pull money out of people by playing victim, because you've got Zoe Quinn out there who has garnered a great deal more of attention, and she's new. She's the latest, greatest, next best victim. And so that's it. Sarkeesian's done.
Okay, I wanna point something out here. I think Zoe Quinn has set a new low for damseling, because she managed to make herself a victim of a contest specifically to fund female game creators.
Yes.
How that is like that is awe-inspiring. In fact, that is like that if she actually, it's like a troll. It's like the ultimate troll. She has made herself a victim of an effort to help women get into games. How is that even possible? I mean, that is there any lower that it could get? Can they now become victims of scholarships for women in science and engineering? Like, how far can the victiming be going?
They will come. They will come. Well, we see some poor, innocent, wealthy white woman just whining and crying about, I don't know what to do with all this money and this wonderful job. I can't handle it, and it's all your fault because you gave me a scholarship. I would have been a housewife. You know, it'll happen.
I honestly think, why don't we start suing for scholarships? You gave me a scholarship, I'm going to sue you.
Maybe they just need to wrestle in pudding on who gets to be the biggest victim.
Oh no!
Because wait a second. Wait. A slap fight instead, because slap.
Lube is slipperier. Lube is slipperier than pudding and
my cheek.
Can't we have a loogie hockey?
It's more fun. It's more fun to watch lube wrestling. Just saying.
Yeah.
They just slip. You're like, oh, you think you got them, and then you like pop out of your hands like a little
across the room. Yeah.
Word, I don't know.
So many of those poor women were victims of the tragic lube wrestling accident of 2018. Oh, the horror. Oh, humanity. Oh, gosh. Right. Out of the silly place, people. There are questions.
Okay, yeah, there are questions.
Okay.
Yes,
Focus.
yes.
Focus.
Yes, there are. Okay, wait, where was the question? Okay. From what I understand, all members of Honey Badger Radio identify as anti-feminist, correct? If so, my question is this. Are you against feminism as a whole, that is, as a movement that started out in favor of women having equal voting rights and progressively turned its way to equal job opportunities and pay, along with other social issues regarding gender equality? Are you just against this present third generation, third wave of feminism for misleading insensitivity towards the fluid notion of gender and the potential its followers hold to spread oppression inherent in all gender roles, or possibly because it can be misconstrued as exclusive or elitist?
Well, let's start out with a little correction about how feminism started out. Because, in all honesty, feminism has never been about equality. It has never, ever been about equality. It has been about winning privileges for women. And it has done so by taking human problems that everyone faced, not just women, but everyone, and treating it like it was only a female problem, or it was only justified to seek relief for women. So, and Crystal's probably going to be able to say just as much about this one as I will, but on the voting rights issue, and we talked about this the other day, voting rights were not something that, men had universally and women were universally excluded from. Prior to women's suffrage, there were women that could vote. In England, prior to women's suffrage, there were women who voted not just once but multiple times. Landowners could vote. And in the United States, in New Jersey, everyone could vote. You didn't even have to be from New Jersey during the colonial years. Everyone could vote. There were different areas in the United States where women could vote. In the states, there were many of the western states that joined the United States with voting rights for women intact. And it was in their constitutions. And suffrage for women did not bring about suffrage for minority women. It only brought about suffrage for wealthy white women who could pass all of the little hurdles that were set up to keep the poor and minorities from getting to exercise their legal right to vote. So then there were other things that were set up in the United States. There was the Chinese exception. There was the refusal of citizenship for Native Americans. Native Americans really couldn't vote for the most part until after we put a man on the moon. It's ridiculous for feminists to treat this as a gendered issue. And it's that way with pretty much everything feminism has approached. There is not a single thing that they have come out and said, women suffer this and we need to alleviate it, that is not also an issue suffered by men, and they've ignored men's experience of it. And much of it is also experienced without regard to gender by children. And they exploit children's experiences for the benefit of women rather than trying to alleviate the suffering of children. So the idea that feminism has ever been an innocent thing that was just about equality for women is bull. So if you're, for asking us individually, as far as I'm concerned, it's always been a bad thing.
Ditto.
Well, I mean, I'm absolutely. Oh wait,
Crystal was
that damn mute button.
Okay,
I swear to God, it's trying to.
Spy Pig, it's your turn.
Me. Okay, all right. So, exactly. I fully yes. What Hannah said, absolutely. I am definitely an anti-feminist because yes, feminism it was never about equality, and now here we are in 2014, cleaning up the mess of feminism. So no, yes, like we discussed the other day, there are certain things that it created, but considering the fact that most of what it did was a complete, just total shitstorm, and now it's such a disaster that we have to clean up the mess that feminism perpetuated and pushed all around. And yes, there was a big amount of women, and there's a link, and I'm going to have to find it. So before I quote the statistic, I will just say there was a large amount of women who were suffragettes who were part of the women's KKK. Now, a little bit about the women's KKK: they didn't give a crap about women if they were poor, if the poverty, white women of poverty and black women were the same to them. They didn't really care about women unless they were in a very elite group, and they were perfectly fine with poverty-stricken white women and black women being raped because, well, they weren't really human. So these were members of the suffragettes, were women of the KKK. There was a group of women who were that. No, they weren't all, sunshines and rainbows. I don't know how they turned into heroes. These women were not heroes. Men were going out to die and in war, and they were not allowed to vote. But they didn't really care. They just wanted to vote for themselves. Now, had it began with an egalitarian movement, well, obviously the story would have been completely different. But no, they didn't care about anybody. They didn't care about equality. They just wanted their just us. We just deserve to have things because we say so. And so
they wanted the same power that their fathers and their husbands had.
Right, but with none of the responsibilities that came with it. They just wanted it because, just why not? They should be able to. And then, then there was the second wave that came in with the extreme anti-male agenda and pushed it really hard, and actually also attacked femininity, that it was weak to be feminine, and that's continued, and so it's not just this recent feminism that all of a sudden is went to shit. I mean, that they started from crap. Shit. And they just blossomed, to an even bigger pile of crap. So it's nothing new. It's just now people are finally standing up and saying enough.
Yeah. Well, I would say that feminism has done one thing positive that it probably is an unintended consequence. It's really thrown the male role of expendability into sharp relief in our society, and it's hard not to see it now. Because all of the social institutions that used to support it and sort of hide it and sort of justify it and are gone. It's harder and harder. It's becoming harder and harder and harder to see men as being in a more powerful position than women. And the end result of that is that I think more and more we're seeing how they have problems and issues. And it's just, that was something that feminism did. I don't think that feminists actually intended to do that. To really actually create the tools and the situation, set the stage for examining the male gender role. I mean, because before second wave or third wave or whatever wave feminism, men were still being sent in droves to die in an industrial machine for absolutely no goddamn good reason. And I'm talking about World War I. Which was possibly the most pointless conflict ever. And now we actually have put that into center stage and we're looking at it. And it's hard you can't escape it anymore because the whole role is gone for men. And in my personal opinion, I know that people on the panel or in the group probably don't necessarily agree, and that's fine. I know we don't have to agree. But in my personal opinion, the previous role that men were in sort of hid their disposability, and as well as encouraging it. And whether or not it's a biological frailty or a social frailty, it was exploiting it. And in my opinion, there's no justification for exploiting something like that. The willingness of men to die or to kill, mostly die actually, to earn a positive identity. And it's time to address it and figure out a better system, I think. Hello, Rachel?
Yes. Oh, sorry. I think the question was also about, like, do you support the things that feminism says they stand for instead of, do you... Yeah, see, that's the thing, though. I do absolutely 100% support equality between the genders, but I don't feel that feminism carries that out. I think that they're incredibly inefficient at doing anything they really set out to do. I mean, if they really did believe in any of these things, they are really some of the most inefficient people I have ever seen. Because, certainly
creating the opposite.
Yeah, they're absolutely creating the opposite. And I mean, I remember when I did consider myself to be a feminist, I was really behind the idea of strong, empowered women. And, I was interested in women being self-reliant and, being capable. I thought that was a wonderful thing. And then I sit here in the middle of this all, in that sort of a cult of victimhood, and it's just so... I mean, I remember being beside myself, seeing this stuff unfold, wondering how the hell it even happened, and then, it was so wonderful to finally find out that it had always been this way, that I wasn't crazy, that there was never a time when it was ever this well-meaning movement, to help everybody, and then it just suddenly failed. It's always been this way.
Well, I think it's the other thing that feminism the other thing that feminism really put into perspective was sort of a failing with women. I mean, we are put on this moral pedestal, but there's certain aspects of either our biology or our biology plus our socialization that lead to moral blindness, and feminism has really torn the lid off of that, And to me, the idea that there were women handing white feathers out to boys to force them to go and die is just, it's unspeakable. Like, it's, for me, that's on. Yeah,
handing them out to anybody. Those women could not do what they were asking those guys to do. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, it is more atrocious to hand something like that to somebody who is young and who shouldn't have been going out in the first place, or who's old and coming back. But the reality is they didn't have any business handing those feathers out to anybody, because they didn't face the same risk, and they would not have been up to it if they had.
Yeah, well, anybody handing it out to anybody, but the idea that was something that made sense to these women it's like, that's almost, I know that in many ways there was the social situation and all the kinds of horrible things can make sense to you at the time, but that is, and the fact that people don't even realize that is unspeakable. That is unspeakable. Like, it's just, well, it is speakable because I'm speaking it, but let's move on.
Oh, absolutely. What was the art question you were asking? Okay. It's like, Karen, who is the graphic artist at the site? It is well put together, technically and artistically, which itself is a sign that peak feminism has passed and they are starting to go down the drain. The only question is if the spiral is going clockwise or anti-clockwise. My question would be, why is there not any good coffee in Canada? Because there is not.
Okay. Which question is... They're
both the same. They're both from the same person in the same post. So
okay, well, number one, I'm not really fit to answer who does the art on the website, because I have nothing to do with the running of and the organization of the website. I do know that Jay Cream has done some nice fan art of me and an animated intro that I really like, and I would expect that he's probably done some of the art on the website. And also probably Yule and Europa, or I don't.
Phoenix. I can answer that.
Yeah.
Jay Cream does a lot of the art for the Nerd Pod, and he's really good at that. And he also does the ads. He does the announcer voice too, which is really cool because he's got a great announcer voice. And Europa Phoenix does the artwork usually for the ads for the main show, the radio show, and the person who's doing the animation for that is Phil. So if you like the way they're animated, it's Phil Johnson, I believe. He recently came out with his real name, so it's I still don't remember it, and I'm terrible with names.
Good on
Oh
him.
gosh.
And Yule does Badger Bites, which is sort of a comic exploring the double standards in society between men and women. One of my favorites is, of course, the pervert comic, which is pretty good. It's you go to the site and take a look.
He did the Suey Park bookmarks, didn't he?
Yeah, he did the Suey Park bookmarks.
Stupid.
Yeah, he does
That's Yule.
He does the artwork for Rachel's Badger Slam, and recently we've also had Brian Martinez, who did some artwork for Crystal's recent post on the Ferguson situation.
Yeah, that was amazing artwork.
Yeah, and in terms of the overall design, I actually did the overall design of the website. And Sage is the one who programmed it. So it's sort of it's not one person per se. It's a whole bunch of people.
There's a lot of people, and even my boyfriend is coming in and coloring some things now.
Yeah, like but he doesn't like groups. So
yeah, he doesn't want to be involved. He doesn't like joining things. So don't take any offense to it. He just doesn't like joining anything in particular. But yeah, he's
fine.
He just
he's sort of like he's his own entity onto himself, but he also does coloring and stuff for us.
And he also likes to draw pictures of badgers fucking mushrooms,
which will eventually be seen.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have to put those up. So okay, so what was the second part of the question that I've already?
Why is there no coffee in Canada? Because there is not.
Because it's too cold. Is why.
All the good coffee is so strong it walked its way down to the United States.
Guess that probably.
Where it will be warmer.
Okay, silent people. I want to see the logic behind it's too cold.
Does it have to be like?
Yes,
Does it have to make sense? Really?
Your brain is slouching. Your brain is slouching.
Okay, and why is this addressed to me? Like,
because you're Canadian. I'm also Canadian.
It's all your
because it's your
fault.
channel. It's your channel.
You make
Aaron.
all the coffee.
Entire country for the quality of our coffee. Like what? I'm feeling picked on here. I'm feeling singled out and victimized.
I'm making good cup of coffee.
Okay.
Have you been getting coffee threats, Karen?
Offers of coffee in elevators.
Coffee culture,
galore.
you guys. Coffee culture.
Yeah, you heard it here. It's
it's a new thing since I moved back to the city.
Oh my gosh, coffee culture. There we go.
You're gonna get post-coffee traumatic.
Well, I mean, because I was away from all of this coffee elevator rape culture when I was living on Vancouver Island because I was in a town so small that they didn't actually have a single elevator in the whole town. So,
did they mock up an elevator? just so that they could threaten to rape? Wait. Sorry, coffee women in it.
Yeah, no, they didn't even. The patriarchy was very, very negligent. It's a small rural town. I can see why it really, like, the patriarchy wouldn't care particularly.
You mean like the patriarchy that was really, really, really on the ball of censoring all of the stuff about Zoe Quinn?
I can understand why. Moving on. What was
Wait, guys.
My nickname for her is Slimer.
One moment, though. If you want good coffee, you need to be able to extract the essential oils from the coffee. And there are many ways of doing that. But one way is, of course, with an espresso machine or an Italian mocha pot. And that's my coffee tips. Also use clean water. Very, very clean.
It's amazing how you can make anything sound like erotica.
is
Well,
Yeah,
you
tell us more
know,
about that dirty
I
water.
love. Well, you see, I love coffee.
We're
We
really
have a relationship. It's an intimate relationship between me and we meet every morning, and they help me get up. The coffee spirits, the coffee angels, just sort of fly up around and just go into my kitchen and just flap their little like coffee angel wings. It's like, good morning, and I'm like, fuck you, and then it's like, oh, here's your coffee.
maybe it's
Oh, you just took us to another
I don't
dimension. The coffee
care what it tastes like as long as it wakes me up. Right? It's just that's all it is. It
Maybe
just
it's
has
the
to
Canadian Shield. It's
have
the,
caffeine.
it's the hard water in Canada.
Oh yeah, you know what? You know what can help with that a little bit is if you just put a little bit of salt in with the coffee grounds, just like a dash of salt in there. That can
if the water's
sometimes.
hard, you just stroke it until it gets rid of the
What?
keeping it hard.
Yeah.
Also, grind your own
then it'll
coffee
be just
beans.
fine.
Okay? It helps.
White mess everywhere, Hannah, all over your coffee pot.
Essential oil.
All right.
Get the salt out of it, and then you're fine.
It is an art, okay? Coffee is an art.
My
Okay.
God.
One that
All
should
right.
be
If
respected.
coffee is hard, then you're
But-
not finished yet.
I said it's an art, not hard.
Okay, so what was the next part of the question?
I think we answered that question
Yeah, I think-
in so many
Because
ways.
you aren't extracting the essential oils, Allison.
Okay, how did this become
You
about
can stroke
me?
the coffee for that too, right?
No, but how did it? Like what?
All right, ladies.
Okay, guys. Okay. I'll pick some things.
Business time.
Full list of turn-ons per badger ranked in order of titillation. All other questions are irrelevant.
A full list.
Okay, I think we're gonna be here a long
actually only
time.
have
For
20
sure.
minutes.
Okay. We could do something.
No. Let's do a legitimate question.
Okay.
I'm feeling the need of increasing the legitimacy.
Wait, I forgot. The rest of the question was, conversely, can you provide a list of current living addresses so I can perform this hard-hitting journalism myself from that tree outside your window that everyone has?
I don't know. My maple tree is pretty thin. I think.
I don't have trees. I have
It doesn't-
shrubbery.
Yeah.
Wait,
you
okay.
wouldn't provide enough
Very
coverage.
well placed trees.
Can you guys talk about how crazy Femin is again? Since we missed it, just let it all out on them. Well, they
Holy
let it all
shit.
out all over a flag.
I can't.
Am I right?
Without thinking of
Oh, for anybody who doesn't know, Femin is essentially naked feminist for God knows what. Nobody
They
knows.
paint their tits. They
Yeah, but that could be
Paint their
amusing.
tits. They're
They're just like they're naked people running around and not accepting the inherent comedy of the situation of being a naked person running around.
They're professional trolls.
So
That's
did you-
what you need to know. They do this for a living.
I got
They
from
they
the Bear Winch project.
yeah they oh god, the Bear Winch. I fucking
The
remember.
Bear Winch project.
Oh
yeah.
god. Oh shit. Anyway, yeah. Okay.
They're organized by a guy, so basically they worship patriarchy by fighting patriarchy with their tits with patriarchy.
Wait.
Yeah.
The Bear Winch, wasn't that a porno?
Yeah, kinda.
All right.
All right. Let's
little
get to a legitimate question. Let's get
Yeah.
to a legitimate question. Like this one. Okay, silence. This one. I'm squishing everything here. Squish.
Excellent.
Okay.
Question
Perfect
from
for a porn.
HLV in the chat. I have a lot of feminist women and men in my environment. I would like to spread men's rights movement here in Quebec, and I was wondering what are the best strategies to make them understand what feminism really is without being seen as a woman hater. Thanks. That is a tough question.
Especially
That is a
if you're
very
talking
tough
to
question.
feminists.
That's very.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out, but you know.
Yeah.
Hire a woman to
There's
do it
nothing
for
can
you.
do. Oh yeah. There you go, right there. Because anything that even smells like misogyny, they will go nuts. They will shut down the conversation. And if they can't immediately shut down the conversation, and you throw logic at them, the thing that they're gonna come out with is, I was victimized. I was groped in a train. I was catcalled. how can you say that? Feminism is working on these things. How can you not support feminism?
I was a victim.
I hate when they use catcalling as a freaking as if that's a fucking issue. God, that pisses me off.
The
logic, I guess, is I was a victim, therefore all women are victims because they're women.
Right.
Right.
And if you're a woman and you don't agree, then you are a victim or you're an oppressor as well and have internalized misogyny.
Well, why don't you could always go with the socializing women, or actually one anecdote I like, which might actually start moving their subconscious towards some place more amiable to your ideas, is to describe how if you have like an elderly aunt who's living on her own and she starts to be targeted by a home alarm salesman who starts exaggerating the statistics of criminality in her neighborhood, or the crime statistics in her neighborhood. I mean, you immediately see the abuse there. Now, why wouldn't that be the same? Why don't you see the abuse when it's feminists and government giving out exaggerated or uncontextualized statistics about women's so-called victimhood? You know,
that's actually a beautiful, beautiful, brilliant analogy. That I think would be.
Well, luckily for us, the ideologues, the hardcore, like 100%, hardcore feminist ideologues, they're a minority. Okay, a good portion of people do not exactly have an opinion on it. They have not yet been swayed. So if you make just good points, like in talking about misinformation that has been distributed, that is a good starting point. Just start, you can just start talking to people and just ease into it. I mean, it's not often that you find someone so hardcore that they're not going to listen, but, if you don't do it right, you will absolutely sound like a misogynist.
Kind of helps
that's why I
them
suggest
do the thinking, too. Make them come up with arguments against you. Ask questions. Don't just tell them things, but ask them questions about your position. And this is actually something I've watched. It's actually something I've watched Allison do quite a bit. That really just sort of undercuts the "you hate women" argument instantly. There was. I can't remember the discussion. You probably remember the discussion, Allison, where there was a person that you asked if women were oppressed, and and do you feel it was not just that women were oppressed? Do you feel that men oppress women? And I think that discussion went on for a couple of pages on Reddit. You actually had to scroll down a couple of pages of replies back and forth between the two of you. And this person never did answer that question. They did everything they could to not answer that question. But a rational person, anybody with any level of rationality, would have to think about that question.
Yeah.
Right. Hannah, the sign that you had with what was it? I support men's human rights because men are human. What other reason? That was a great one. And when I was out, with people, when you guys were talking about that and had mentioned it, it told me, hey, try this. And I was out talking with people, and a lot of people in New York City just didn't know what the men's human rights movement was, but they were interested. So there are a lot of people who, once they hear about it, and I just tell them the truth. Hey, it's about men's human rights.
Ooh, did we just lose Crystal?
There are extremists who don't want this to exist, and then that's how I approached it. I was like, look, there's extremists who don't want the men's human rights movement to exist. And every human deserves human rights. And that was how I opened the conversation. I'm done.
Okay, I wanted to say something to that. With men's human rights, if they laugh or they say, well, men, blah, 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 well, turn it around on them and say, well, what rights do you think men shouldn't have?
That's a good
and they probably will say, well, they have all the rights already. Well, then, but I actually think that anecdote helps to open people up to talking about the statistics in regards to the victimization of men. And that might be a way to just tenderize the emotional ground before you start shoving statistics that they might resist otherwise into it. Was that very rapey?
Non-consensual rational thought. How dare you?
Can I?
Gosh.
And that is why I am a zombie. To answer the turn-on question, that's my one. Brain!
Nicole, she co-admins Loving and Celebrating Men with me, says feminism is dismissed.
My turn-ons involve things like home cooking and Victorian attire, things like corsets, just delicately stitched and with all those wonderful details on them, and fishnet stockings, nice garter belts, just
and tentacles.
Gloves, and just
okay.
Wonderful.
Let's try another legitimate question.
Yes.
How did we get back on this?
Yeah.
Somebody brought it up.
When Karen with her audible slouches
I
is
slipped
telling
it in.
us
I already hinted at what my turn-ons were when we were talking about the alien probes. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, let's move
Okay,
on.
what's your favorite kind of pizza? Oh God,
The one
no.
in front of me at any given moment.
Oh yes. Oh well,
One with
I
lots of meat.
like bacon, chicken, or possibly mushroom with either of those. Yes.
I ate an earthworm once. I'll eat almost anything.
Yay,
I don't particularly like
earthworms!
pizza.
Okay, here's a well, yeah, but grain things don't agree with you. Okay, is there a problem? Wait, yeah, I thought you said carbs and things of that nature. Gluten doesn't agree with you.
Oh, I thought you said green. I'm like, no, I'm okay with green things.
No, grain.
Main thing.
Grain. Okay, all right, gotcha.
Yeah, okay. Is there a problem with women pleasing men? Why do women think that this is a bad thing to do? Men like to please women too. So if a woman marries a man, she should put on the pants. She should put on the pants and make him feel like crap every day? ? Okay. No, there is no problem with women pleasing men. I mean, if you're in a relationship, there's no problem whatsoever with pleasing your guy. And in fact, I would say that's whole
Kind of
part of it.
prerequisite.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point of being in a relationship, is that it's a mutual exchange of like of
Right, there is the I fully support the return
Give and
of the
take.
lost art of how to completely, please your partner, because that is absolutely necessary. And the thing is, men are constantly told, oh, do this for women, do this for women. But how many times are women told to take the time to do the details that they want to receive themselves? How many times do they take the time to think of these details for their partner? How many times have they given him a foot massage? How many times have they given him a back rub? Let me cook him his favorite dinner. You know what I mean? Like, what we don't, it's time to encourage that in women. Hello, remember that this is a partnership. This is the man you love. This is the man you're with. Even if, you're supposed to bring your part into it too. You want romance? Well, you got to be it too. It can't just be, I'm going to lay here like a starfish and you have to do everything and that's it. No, it's not that. It's creativity. That's part of sharing your love and your sexuality is creativity. And absolutely pleasure is not.
Starfish really loves you.
I just want to interject, Crystal, that when we started talking was when my boyfriend snuck in here to grab his laptop and sneak back out. And the entire time he was listening to you, he was pointing at me and pointing at his crotch and doing that. Where's mine? Oh, thank you very much. Thank you so much.
But actually, starfish have little tentacles on them, right? That's how they locomote. They move around.
They are echinoderms, and they have a little. Yeah, absolutely.
So that actually wouldn't be that bad, I think. If you were having never. Okay, go on, move on.
Yeah, and they can endure a lot because you can actually break them apart and then they can
have more of
regrow
them.
they regrow. Anyway, what I was going to say is, absolutely do not forget Steak and BJ Day. Okay, Steak and BJ Day is an unofficial holiday, and that is the day when you break out the knee pads and you make a steak. And I 100% endorse this holiday because steak is awesome, and
it's
if
not
if you want
holiday in our house because like BJ Day is every day and steak day is at least 3 to 4 days a week. So
That's true.
it's just because my boyfriend has a very, very limited range of foods that he can eat. So, and steak is one of them, and it's easy.
Can we push in like more of a serious question before we go?
That's so
Do
rapey.
you mind if I read it?
Things in.
Yes. There was the one. Well, there was the one about what can they do as.
Okay, yeah, I've become very concerned with the well-being of college-age men ages 17 to 22. Jobs are shrinking, and only the trades available require specific talents that cannot be learned, i.e. computer programming, chefs, or craft trades. Every summer we have more interns than I know what to do with, and I try everything in my power to beef up their resume. However, without the experience or education, I can only truthfully say that Mr. X was the best unpaid hostage that we ever had. I don't care about the economy or jobs anymore. These boys are on the edge, and it will only take a lover's scorn or a parent's frown to topple them. How do we help them? What can I do as a programmer with spaghetti in my pockets? This is by Bishop. I don't know. Honestly. This is sort of where the rubber meets the road, where when you have a group of people men who take an identity from being providers, from having a good job, from doing something for other people, and you add in an economy that seems to be very sluggish. All I can say...
And you also basically set up women with extra, an extra boost to be able to compete with them. And these are the same women who are going to be looking around saying, I can't find a man with a decent job, right? And when you have an education system that has been, post-secondary education has become a complete fucking farce over the last 20 years, right? Like, 20 years ago, I could get as good a job with my high school diploma as my boyfriend has been able to get. Right?
Yeah.
As far as a permanent job. Right?
Yeah.
So, and he's got, I don't know, $35,000 worth of student debt. Woo!
One thing that I got by surprise was the book Bachelor Pad Economics by Aaron Clary. I ended up taking that home with me from the conference, and I read it. I read most of the way through it, and upon reading it, there's a lot of very practical advice in that book I was not expecting. And I've already given it to my son to read. And it's something that I'm not going to be able to tell you the entire book because it's a book and we've got like 3 minutes left. But there's a couple of really important things in there, and one of them is, discourage guys from getting useless degrees. And when I say useless degrees, I don't mean all degrees are useless. I mean, don't study 19th century French poetry. Study something that there are jobs in right now. Look at engineering, look at jobs that are related to building and fixing things, and encourage them to become independent of other workers in order to do the things that they need to do in life, to be able to get a junker and fix it themselves, be able to do their own cooking, be able to do their own small repairs around their house. Things that, you don't encourage them because that's the manly thing to do, but because it's a very practical way to live. And it's going to be what people, not just men, but people are going to need to be able to survive what the economy is turning into and what the economy is going to do to the general public over the next couple of decades. That is what really needs to happen.
Yeah. I think this is pretty much it for the show, though, right? We're on the last hour, 11th hour.
Yeah. Oh,
and for the question of where to learn to fix an old junker, in the book, YouTube was recommended, and to be honest, that's where I learned how to put the serpentine belt on in my old van. My van is a 1994 Plymouth Grand Voyager, and I learned how to put that on by watching a YouTube video. It wasn't for a Voyager, but it has the same engine as some other vans, and it was correct. It worked. I looked the information up on the internet. You got a connection to the internet, you can learn how to fix your car.
Oh yeah, no, it's the same thing with installing a subfloor on a concrete slab, with rewiring your light switches, you're putting new light switches in, with installing laminate flooring, with installing a toilet, all of those things, so easy to do if you just have a little confidence and an internet connection. I mean, like, my house has not burned down as of yet, and because I redid some of the wiring and installed the light fixtures myself. So there's just so much that you can actually get just from the internet, and just really interesting things that you can learn how to do, like refinish a piece of furniture that you rescued or whatever for next to nothing. So
absolutely. I mean, if you have enough time and energy, you can learn how to do a lot of things.
Well, and if you're unemployed, you can do them on the cheap, and you do have the extra.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there are even plans, free house plans online with tutorials and tutorials on basic construction of a small structure. So there's a lot of things. But yeah, I guess we're at our end, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, as long as James is ready to end the show, we're at the end.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Our
we're all aware, or we're all accounted for.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in today, and for all your wonderful questions. Have a nice night.
Starfish loves you!